Alright guys, so you've been asking for it for a while now, and today is finally the day. It's all about Roses for Rachel. Your questions answered by me. Let's get to it. Alright, so something you guys should know about me is I'm not very organized at all. So I really literally just wrote the questions down in this notebook, and I'm going to try to do it by book. Like Roses for Rachel, Anything for Rachel, and then Forever for Rachel. But I may get confused because it happens. But there's a lot of good questions. I've got everybody's names written down, but I will probably botch your name. Just forewarned, I'm horrible at pronunciations. I probably pronounce my own name wrong. It's that bad. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to pronounce everything wrong, but I'm going to answer your questions. Alright, so you don't know me. I'm really bad at descriptions. Unless I'm writing it down, I promise you I will mess it up. Like, I won't make anything sound interesting at all. I can't even unlock my own computer with my own thumbprint. That's just how my day is going. Alright, I'm just going to read the description on my pad. I was sure the worst thing that ever happened to me would be being kidnapped. And sure, that was pretty bad. However, what was worse was being kidnapped, held captive for years, and then auctioned off to the highest bidder. I thought maybe I'd caught a little break when I found out that me and 5 other girls were being sold to royalty, but I should have known something was not quite right about that either. Under the cover of eternal darkness and deep beneath the ground was a whole world I never dreamed existed in my wildest dreams. It was a world that promised me more than anything I could imagine. The people who bought us and brought us here told us that we would have the luxurious life of a princess, but there were only 2 catches. 1, we would be competing against each other for the affection of the prince, who would change our whole lives by picking one of us to rule at his side. And 2, that prince just happened to be a vampire. Of course, they always just, happen to be a vampire. But anyway, so that's what it's about. If you haven't read it, you shouldn't be watching this video because there's going to be a lot of spoilers. I'm going to try my best to, I'm going to go book by book. I'm going to attempt that. So I will be answering the questions about Roses for Rachel first, and then I will let you know when I've moved into questions about Anything for Rachel, and then questions about Forever for Rose, so that if you are only on the first book or you're on the second, you don't want to spoil things for the next one, I will try to make that easier for you. Because, I don't know, some people really like spoilers, some people really hate them. I have a love-hate relationship with them myself, so that's what we're going to try to do. I like that song. I'm trying not to, it got too quiet, so I'm trying to listen to music while I'm doing this, but it's actually really distracting me. My ADD is going insane because I'm like, oh, I want to sing the song, and then I can't because I'm supposed to be answering questions. Okay, questions from you guys, and here it goes. Okay. So, first question from the first name I'm going to totally destroy, and I'm sorry. We got, that's that right there. Ritha and what? I'm sorry. I apologize. Honestly, my own name, my maiden name I used to pronounce wrong all the time. People would tell me what's wrong. Alright, so her question is, are you planning to publish the Rachel series? That would be fantastic. I do want to publish traditionally with a publishing house and actually have paper copies and Kindle and everything, the whole 9. But it's a lot harder. You can't just be like, hey guys, I'm ready to publish, and they're like going to just line up for you. You've got to like send out a lot of stuff, and it's really hard to get published these days, and I don't really want to do a self-publish because I don't know why. I'm being annoying about it, but I do want to publish one day, and I hope that one day it happens, and if it does, that'd be fantastic, and you guys could all have actual copies of the book, which I would love to have as well. I mean, I hold this little cover picture dearly because I just wish it was a whole book, but it's just a piece of paper with the cover on it, but it's cool. Alright. Okay. How did you come up with the names, places, characters, and species? And this is from Cassidy Gray 1 on Wattpad. The names literally just kind of pop into my head. When I'm writing, I will sit down and go to do it, and just the first letter I type in, a name just kind of goes in with it. But for Roses for Rachel, once I had the idea for it and I knew that the roses were going to be like a thing that I was going to do, which I'm going to answer because it's a different question. I don't want to answer it before I get there. But I knew roses was a thing, so I was literally like, hey Mom, what are some R names? And we just started spouting off R names. And Rachel just kind of like rolled well, and I was like, hey, yeah, Rachel, that works. And then Pedro was the nickname of my stepdad in like when he was young. I don't have any idea why that was his nickname whatsoever, but that's where I got Pedro. And then Calvin, literally don't remember where I got it, and I originally was calling him Cal the whole time, but then right about the same time that I was reading, or not writing, oh my god, I can't talk, then I was writing, I started reading The Red Queen, which I know it's over there, I should have got it out, but Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard, and one of the main princes in that's name was Cal. And so once I like was half done writing Roses for Rachel, I was like, crap, every time I see the word Cal, now I'm thinking of this character. So now I mostly just changed his name to Calvin. But literally names, that's just, they pop into my head. I don't know. That's kind of how a lot of my writing works. It just is something that just, it pops in my head and I write it down, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But in this case it did. Alright, then we've got right here Brittany, or Britton Yara Parker? Sorry, I know. Will you ever make these books into movies? That would be even more awesome than just publishing regularly. I absolutely love watching movie adaptations of books. Like anything, if it says that it was a book, I will watch it just because I think it's amazing and it's awesome. And just to be able to see your characters, not just on paper and like in your mind, but to see them on a screen and like see your story play out and be able to share that with so many more people, because sadly not the whole world reads. We all should be, because it's awesome and fun and amazing, but not everybody does. So you can reach so many more people with your story once you move to TV or movie, which would be awesome. Like that's like #1 dream, be published, have movies. That'd be amazing. Okay, we got Awesome Girl 7005 down here. That's the name. Says, how did you get your idea for the story? When you first started writing, did you know it would become so popular? And have you read The Selection? Yes, I have. I have read The Selection. It was years ago. Probably like when it first came out. I remember I used to go to the Books A Million in town and sit there and read it because I couldn't afford to buy the book. So I would sit there and read the first one when it was new and then tuck it back in the shelves and come back the next day and read some more. But yes, I read them a long time ago, and I actually kind of forgot about them and was not thinking about it anymore when I got the idea for Roses for Rachel. I know I've gotten many comments that they are very similar, and that is true. They are similar concepts. It's kind of hard to avoid when you have a prince and people competing for a prince. It's hard to not draw a parallel between the two. And so I try not to get bothered when people are like, you just totally ripped this idea off from this book. Because honestly, it wasn't how it happened. Which goes into the next question, was how did you get the idea for the story? I was actually writing something entirely different. Was not even thinking about Roses for Rachel. I was trying to write a mystery thriller at the time. And I, in the back of my mind, was kind of thinking like, okay, maybe with my next book I'll try a vampire story, because they're super popular on Wattpad and I like to do kind of what's like in, like stay current with the trends on what people are reading. And so I was like, yeah, I could try out a vampire story, but I could not come up with a concept whatsoever. I didn't want it to be the same as everybody else. And so I was left kind of just like, oh, well, if I get an idea, I'll get an idea. And I was actually kind of like toying with the idea of it being like a girl vampire that moved to a new town, because for some reason it always seems to be like a girl is new and moves to town, and then there's a guy that already lives there that's supernatural. It's literally like just about all the stories. So I was like, oh, I'll be different. I'll make the girl be a vampire and be a new guy. But that's where I was at the time. But I was writing and I'm sitting on my couch and I look up and there's a commercial for The Bachelor, which, if you don't know, The Bachelor is a show that comes on, not sure where all it comes on at, but it's basically one guy that has a whole bunch of girls come on the show to compete to be with him, and it was a commercial for the finale, which they handed out roses for each one, and it's like, so-and-so, will you accept this rose? And she's like, oh my god, yes, of course. And so that's what I was watching. It was like, promises to be the most dramatic season yet. And it literally just all kind of popped into my head at once. I was like, that's kind of perfect. Have a guy that has girls competing for him. The guy can be a vampire, because that's never been done, to my knowledge. And so I was like, yeah, that works. And then the roses were where I got the idea for, I'm not going to spoil it, the end of Roses for Rachel. If you've read Roses for Rachel, you know how it ends. And really, that was one of the books that I had the idea for the ending before anything else. And I knew that he was going to send her roses. And so I was like, yeah, Roses for Rachel. This is great. It'll be like a bachelor vampire story. And in writing it, I did realize that it was going to be hard to avoid being similar to Kira. Is it Kira Cass? I don't want to say that wrong. I think that's right. The selection. I knew it was going to be similar, so I tried to really steer away from being too close. But then even in things like when the king dies, I had people like, oh god, it's just like the selection. I was like, are you kidding? I didn't even remember that the king died. Honestly, I thought he was alive, so I thought I was being different by killing the king. But yeah, so that's where I got the idea. It was from The Bachelor. It was literally just, it came on, and I totally scrapped the book that I was working on, just deleted the whole page out, and immediately from that moment just started writing Roses for Rachel, and the rest was just kind of history. When you first started writing it, did you know it would become so popular? Absolutely not. Not even like a little bit. At that point, the most popular book I had was Human, and it was still, I don't even think it had 50,000 reads yet. So when I started writing Roses for Rachel and just people started flocking to it, I was like, what is happening right now? But it was so fun, because what I love about writing and what I love about doing it on Wattpad is that there's so many like people interacting with you, and they're enjoying your characters, and you get to see it. And it was just so fun to see so many people coming in and like loving the story, and of course it just made me want to write more, so that was fantastic. But no, I had no idea when I started writing it that now we'd have 3 million something reads and all the other craziness that's come from it. 3 other books. Okay, here's 2. Infinity Wolf Rider. Hey girl. What she says, does it specify what Rachel's hair color is? And it does. In the first book, I'm pretty sure somewhere, I am almost 100% positive, I do specify that she has a strawberry blonde, more on the blonde than the strawberry side, but yeah, like a reddish blonde hair. Then we've got I Love to Write 94. Hey, you've been with me for a long time. What inspired you to write this story? And basically, I already covered that. But, yeah, I just really wanted to write a vampire story. The Bachelor commercial came on. The idea struck me, and I just ran with it. So that's really how that happened. Will you write another book for Rachel and Calvin, Nico Queen, if they don't stop slamming doors? Will you write another book for Rachel and Calvin? I'm probably done as far as Rachel and Calvin goes. They may cameo in other things, and I do plan to write like bonus chapters that I will give out to people that are like my subscribers. So I do plan to do some other things with them, but not a whole book. Who sent the flowers in the first book if it wasn't Calvin? This is from... yeah. Ethel Drithian. I'm sorry. I'm just going to start showing y'all the names because, honestly, I embarrass myself just trying to talk. Alright. Who sent the flowers originally? If you remember in the first book, after the first, I think it's after the first, like, introductions. I'm not positive. Rachel and, turns out, all the other girls get a big display of flowers, and when Rachel runs into Calvin in the library, she thanks him for them, and he's like, and send Jenny flowers. And so she's like, okay. So this is what she's asking about. Who sent the flowers originally? In my head, I would say that the people running the show, probably either the king or Pedro and the others, would have been like, all right, well, we need to send the girls all something from Calvin, although Calvin had, like, no idea what was going on, because he, at this point, didn't give a crap one way or the other. He couldn't care less about any of the girls, much less enough to send them flowers. So That's that. Then we've got Javon Randall, which, by the way, I'm going to get back to you on your message on my wallet. I swear I'm getting there. She or he, sorry, I don't know, asks, as a writer of vampire novels, how do you come up with roses for Rachel, and what inspired the plot and the characters? That was like my number one question. As far as like the characters, they always kind of morph into their own thing. I kind of sometimes have a like idea of how a person's going to be. Like, I'm like, okay, so-and-so is going to be sweet, so-and-so is going to be kind of selfish, so-and-so is going to be an asshole, just depending on that, or someone's like really sarcastic and funny. But then as I'm writing them, they kind of take on their own, they just morph into their own people. And so I'm kind of just there for the ride. I just kind of watch it happen. I don't have a lot of say over how it happens. I might tell them to be one thing and they're like, no, just kidding, I can't be this. Because actually I think Pedro was supposed to be a jerk most of the time. Like, he was supposed to be a jerk that you kind of like because he was kind of looking out for her. But then he turned out to be like this lovable, fantastic, wonderful. Literally no one asked me who my favorite character out of all my books is, but I would have to probably say he's up there. Pedro is probably one of the top 3 out of all the books that I've written. One of my favorite characters. I just love him. I want to cuddle him. I want to boop him on the nose. So that is the questions for Roses for Rachel. I am now moving on to anything for Rachel. So if you have not read past Roses for Rachel, you should cut it here. And if you have, then continue. Send me a long video because I ramble. Alright, okay. And again, spoiler ahead. So if you have not read the first book, you should quit now. I'm going to give you 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So, Wonderful Tragedies, that's an easy one, asks, when Rachel left Castrum, did Calvin drink from Lexington? And no, he did not. He told Rachel that he would stop that if that made her uncomfortable, which obviously, of course, it makes her uncomfortable, you a dumbass dude. But yeah, she was like, yeah, I don't want you to do that. So he did, and he completely cold turkey quit that, went back to the regular stuff. So no, he did not. After she left, there was no more drinking from Lexington or anything like that. I feel like there's another question in here somewhere about that. Hang on. There it is. Okay, Queen XX1DXX asks, did Calvin ever love Lexington, or was it only her blood? And it was only her blood. The blood bond is what connected the two of them. They, obviously, they built a friendship or a mutual respect for each other in the couple of dates that they had to have with one another. Lexington was not intended to be a bad person. She was not intended to be anything, really. But a lot of people just kind of jumped on the hating Lexington train, and I kind of had to roll with it, and I tried to redeem her there at the end. But she was just a girl, and I like to say this to people a lot, and this has nothing to do with this question. But if the whole story had been written from Lexington's point of view instead of Rachel's, everyone would have hated Rachel, and everyone would have been feeling so sorry for Lexington and all that she had to go through and all her heartbreak. And so I like to play devil's advocate on everything like that. So that's really poor Lexington. But did Calvin ever love her? No. He respected her. He had a friendship with her. He did not want to hurt her because he knew that she was a good person. She had a good heart. The blood thing was not something that either of them could control. Just once it happened, the connection was there, and she was unable to turn it off, and he had a hard time ignoring it until he obviously was incredibly heartbroken after Rachel left, and so he did separate, put space between the two of them. Listening to country music today, it's not usually my thing, but it's back there. I don't think you can hear it. Okay, Book Wanderer 1 asks, does Rachel ever start writing for the vampires, or did she stop when she went back to Castrum? Which is a fantastic question, because in anything for Rachel, it starts out she's working on writing. She's become a writer since she's been gone, which why not? She's got all these fantastic experiences that she can just write down what really happened and sell it like hotcake fiction. So I like to think that she does continue to write, yeah. If anything, you can put a fake name on something and still continue to publish. And she had a publisher because she was already a published author. So she could still, even for the humans, not just for the vampires, be writing. And I would think that she would continue to do that because it was something that gave her a release. It helped her remember how everything happened, not forget anybody or any events. And if you write stuff down, you know that it becomes more stronger in your memory. So I like to think that, yeah, she totally would have kept writing. Fluffy 1 2 3 4 6 7 8 9 0 asks, are you more like Octavia or Rachel, or which character are you most like from the entire series? I always try to write myself, and then it never ends up being me. So I've attempted it a bunch of times, and it's more like I put little pieces of me into each character. None of them are like 100% me. I think, and I'm kind of almost embarrassed to say this because so many people hate on Rachel for her emotionalness. But I think that I am more emotional like Rachel is. Not so much that I cry quite as often. But I mean, if the things that were happening to Rachel were happening to me, I most definitely would be crying. But I think I am more like her in that she's really stubborn, and she feels a lot. And I think I am very similar to her in that way, and that I do stupid stuff. So I'd say I'm pretty similar to Rachel. She's not 100% me. She's definitely a lot more than I could ever be. But yeah, I'm similar to her. Octavia is like how I am in friendships. I think that I am like her a lot with other people. Not so much like I will dish out advice all day long for you. I may not follow my own advice, but I mean, I'll be telling you if you're doing something stupid, and I will tell you how to fix it. But yeah, so I guess I'm kind of similar to her. Out of all of the books in the series, I don't know. And I kind of think like Calvin. In that might be weird to say I'm like a guy, but in his point of view, which you get in anything for Rachel, you can kind of see how his mind works, and it's kind of like what it is inside my head. Everything's kind of just popping off at once and kind of merging together, and then you're like, well, crap, did I screw that up because I totally missed this connection? And then, oh, well, I'm an idiot because blah, 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 blah. That's really just kind of how my mind works. So I'm actually kind of similar to Calvin. And maybe Rose. I don't know. Maybe not so much Rose. She's a lot tougher than I am. She's a tough cookie. Alright. Okay, so now questions about Forever for Rose. And if you have not read Forever for Rose yet, I would say stop now. We'll give you 3 seconds or be spoiled, and it's your fault. 1, 2, 3. Does Rose ever change into a vampire? Yes, she does. She is not in a hurry. I think that she took a lot of what happened to her mom when she was there, and she would use that to know that she has time. She doesn't have to rush into anything. I don't want to give too much away because I will touch on this stuff in other books. But, yeah, she does change, and somebody, crap, where was that? Oh, I'm sorry, and that question was from, right here. Yeah. Is Rose ever turned into a vampire? Yes. Somebody else asked me who changes her. I'm trying to find that. I swear somebody asked me that, and I just can't find it. Whether it would be her dad or Dalton that changes her? And I think that it would be Dalton. I think that obviously Calvin would, be willing, but she's in love with Dalton, and Calvin was the one that changed Rachel, so it just would make sense that your lover would be the one that would do it. So I would say Dalton would be the one that changes her. And then we've got Ryder KB down here. Love you, baby. She asked, how did Rachel feel about going back to Castrum? So when she had to go back with with Rose, because they've been living away for Rose's whole life as humans. So, how does she feel about going back? Obviously, at first, she's terrified. She hates the idea. She doesn't want her daughter there because she knows what it's like there, what the people can be like there. She doesn't want her daughter to go through that. So, at first, not great. But then once she's there, I like to think that all of the hominess of it, that was really the first place that she ever felt like home, because she was kidnapped when she was so young, and then the first place that she found any kind of happiness with Calvin was in Castrum. So I think that when she got there that she would have eventually felt the nostalgia of it all, and Calvin being back at home, obviously he would be kind of happy to be there because that's where he's from, that's what he loves, like he loved his people, and of course Rachel wants him to be happy. So I think that she would have been happy, and I think that she and he would stay there with Rose. Mangary, right here. Oh, my phone is now in a glare, so I can't really see it that well. Did Rose and Dalton get married? Yes, they did. And while I'm on that, let me find the other one that asks about the same thing. Okay, I think it was the one in the back. Somebody else asked this too. It was, again, right here. She had a few questions. I also asked, why didn't Rose and Dalton just get married and rule as king and queen together at the end of the book, instead of Dalton taking on the place as Hand of the King? And that's a fantastic question. And again, goes with that she's in no hurry. She's in no rush. She doesn't have to. She's just gotten her people to herself. And I think that she would want to have some time to rule on her own, to be her own queen, and not have to rely on the people coming to her because there's a king now and a man would be there. So she doesn't roll over like that. Plus, Rose would have seen that her parents only spent 2 months together maybe before they were married and had babies and like all this other craziness. So Rose is in no hurry whatsoever. And Dalton would understand that, and Dalton would want her to rule on her own for a while and gain the respect and the love of the people on her own 2 feet without someone there to prop her. And so he took the spot of Hand of the King until they get married. And that is a scene that I am planning on giving away in a, I have a bright triangle on my shirt. It's fantastic. It's like really shiny. I do plan to give that chapter away where I will write about them getting married and them everything else. It's not going to be a whole book, but I will have bonus chapters, stuff like that I'm going to do in the coming year. What does Rose's vision of her and Lance together mean? A lot of people have asked me about that. And a lot of people also have answered that in the comments. That her visions are not finite. They are not set in stone that they're going to happen. Different things lean on how things will go down. I know that makes zero sense. I cannot get my words out the right way. But there are a lot of other factors that go into whether or not the future that she sees will come true or not. And in that one, it's basically, that's just a path that she could take. She could go this way and end up with Lance and be happy. But she could also go off this way with Dalton and happier. But it's just showing the options, and she's learning to understand them, and it kind of adds into some of the drama. So that's what she did. What happened to the council? Did they end up with the Casters' side or with Rose? I think the council was killed. Yeah, they were all taken off separate in Roses for Rachel, and not for Roses for Rachel. I'm so stupid. For Forever for Rose, they were all kidnapped and taken away. Pedro and the one other who I cannot currently at the moment remember were the only ones that were rescued. I would think that once they found out that those ones were rescued, that they would have killed the others. So they ended up on no one's side. They died, but they were being rude the whole book, so that's what happens. Be rude, you die. I know we all want $1 for every time I say because I'm going to be rich. PTV_lover and C_M_J_C both asked, do Rose and Dalton ever have a child, and will that child have their own book? And yes and no. They do have a child together. They have a daughter. Her name will be Rebecca. And she will not have her own story because, honestly, I'm just kind of burnt out on the female point of view to do it. I feel like it would be too similar to Roses for Rachel and Forever for Rose and Anything for Rachel. I've been in that side of it so much that I don't really want to do it again. She will be in the necklace, though. For those of you that are reading the necklace, there will be crossover between the people of Castrum and the people in the necklace. So she will be in that. Rose and Dalton do have a daughter. Her name is Rebecca, and she will cameo in the notebook. She will not have her own story. Yeah, that's Rose. Asked, even if you don't continue the Rachel series, will you write more supernatural series? And I definitely think I will. I like it a lot. It's more fun than just like everyday writing, which at the same time, though, when I'm doing a lot of supernatural stuff, then I have to backtrack and go and like let my mind just be normal for a while. And so then I end up writing something else that's not paranormal whatsoever. But yes, I do plan on doing that. I'm working on 2 right now. So yeah, just always be on the lookout. I'm always adding new things. I overload myself so much and I'm always writing. So just definitely be looking out for that because I will be doing that. Ailsy? 1, 2, 3, go. Will Rose get another book? She will not. I am done with Rose. I know that a lot of people were disappointed that there was not more to her story than that, but I felt like it was full. And unlike with Roses for Rachel, when I finished writing Roses for Rachel, it was supposed to be a standalone. There was not supposed to be more. It should have ended with her back at home with the baby. Like, that was where it was supposed to end. But then as I finished it, I was like, not done with them. And so I felt that their story wasn't finished. So I went back and wrote more for them. But with Rose, when I finished hers, I definitely felt like she was done. I felt like she, her arc was complete and she ended in a good place. And I can take where she was elsewhere and use other characters based off of her. But no, I will not write another one for just her. There will be extra, as I've mentioned, scenes. If you posted your questions to my Facebook, I'm really sorry they got deleted. I tried to post a thing on there letting you know so that you could resubmit. But if you still have questions and want me to answer them, you drop them in any comments on any of my social medias, or you can do it right here. And I promise I will answer any questions that I didn't already answer. Some other things that I do remember people asking about that I didn't find in the questions. Sorry, I keep burping. Okay. That other people were asking about was how where I based Castrum de Petra off of. And I actually got that idea from, it's a place in Tennessee, in Chattanooga, Tennessee. It's called Ruby Falls. And I'm actually terrified of it because I am claustrophobic and I have anxiety, and being in the middle of the mountain does not bode well for me. But you ride this elevator like down, 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 down. And it's like at a glass door. Like you can see like the inside of the mountain just passing down as you're going down into this elevator. And it goes down for like ever. And you're literally legitimately in like caverns on the inside of this mountain. And everything's just stone and rocks. And it's like beautiful if you're not terrified that there's going to be an earthquake and you're going to get smushed, which was my fear. But you should look it up. It is Ruby Falls in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And that is where I got the idea of the vampires being underground. And that's where I based off the corridors and everything in my head it looked like Ruby Falls. So there's that. I had another thing that I was going to say, but I can't remember, and this video is already like 10 billion minutes long. So if you're still here, kudos to you. Anything else you want to know about Roses for Rachel, you can just feel free to ask. Oh, I was also going to say that a lot of people will pick on Rachel, and it makes me sad-ish, because I do understand that she is whiny and stubborn and does stupid sometimes, but I think you just really have to remember when you think about Rachel all the things that she's been through, that was so young when she was taken from her parents. She had no experience with boys, no experience with life really at all, and then she ends up in Dryton, where it's just rules and daily schedules, and you go to class, you eat, you have one friend, and then she gets pushed in this other world where everything is just insanely different, and you have to just kind of realize that she has been through so much. So don't be mean to her, or I'll cry, because I love her even when she's stupid. And I do look back through there on things when people are like, oh my god, you're so stupid, and I'm like, God, Rachel, you are stupid. But she's stupid for a reason, and she's stupid, but she loves well. And maybe I am kind of like Rachel. I take that answer back. I am pretty similar to Rachel. I'm not as tough, and I'm not as outspoken, but I can be kind of stupid like her. Alright, so that's a good place to end the video, that I'm stupid and the sun's going down, so I've got like light on every part of my face. Alright, so that was the video on Roses for Rachel. Thank you guys so much for everyone who reads it. Oh, it's right here. Everyone that's read Roses for Rachel, it's really so dear to my heart. It's one of my favorite books I've ever written. I just love it. And you. I love everything about it. But thank you all so much for y'all's support on it, and for all the votes and all the comments, and they're hilarious, and there's so many that I go back and read multiple times, and I am just so blessed to have all of you that read and take the time out of your day to care about my characters and my story, and that's all I've got to say about that. Alright, so be on the lookout for the next video. I'm not sure what it'll be yet. If you've got a suggestion on what you want to see, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, share with a friend. The more people we get here, the sooner I'll start doing giveaways on extra chapters or special POVs or other special giveaways that I'm not going to spoil yet. But that's it. Alright, thanks.